So I had an email from a customer who had said, how many people are accessing my guidebooks? And I looked up the data and I sent it back to him. And he then compared it to the number of emails that he'd sent out to his guests. And we quickly realized that a very low percentage of people who he'd sent his welcome email to were actually clicking on the TouchStay guidebook and reading it. So what I said was, send me over your email. Let's have a look at it and see if we can rework it. And so what we have on the screen here is that email. This is the email that he actually sends to his guests right now before they check in. And what I thought would be fun is to get Jess Vosel from Guesthook to hop on this with us and talk us through what she likes about this email and what she might change. And then we'll flip to her version. She's done like an after version. And the idea is that you hopefully take away a few nuggets, which will enable you to fine tune, tailor, adapt whatever email you're sending to guests, introducing them to the guidebook so that they hopefully read more of it and ultimately ask you less questions would be the idea. So Jess, quick hello.
Hi, hello.
Good,
To
excellent.
be here.
So tell me, we've got it on the screen. We've got the first email on the screen. Talk me through what you kind of like and dislike about it.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's very clear. It's very straightforward. There's no fluff really. It's getting right to business. I would say one thing you want to keep in mind when you're sending out emails is to really have kind of one purpose for that email. This one kind of does double duty, right? It's showing both here are your access instructions, and then also here's the link to our guidebook. And so one of the things I suspect is maybe happening is that people are just seeing those arrival instructions and then just being like, okay, that's all I need to know, and then clicking away. And so, I mean, the way I edited this letter, I left that information at the top because I'm assuming that that is information that is important and we don't want to bury that. So I had the thought at first, well, what if we just drop the link, say, hey, for your access instructions, click this link, so that they would have to click through to the guidebook. And that's certainly an option that you could do. But I figured, the people want access to the information they need quickly. So I left that in there. But then just found ways to emphasize the welcome book a little bit more in my second draft. But
So
back to what
Jess,
I like.
if I may
Yeah,
dive in, so what you were
sure.
talking about was this section here. Essentially, you were thinking about moving that up to the top, and then having this specific part here further down the bottom. So like just switching them around so that they click on the guidebook first, but then you reverted and said, that's not really helpful from a guest point of view because what I really want is fast access, and this is fast access, just having it on my screen. Is that right? Is that the way I heard it right?
You nailed it. You nailed it. I was also thinking about the intention of the email, which seems to be really a check-in email. But if you are able to send a couple of emails, maybe have an access email and then also send one that's just about the guidebook, or reverse those two. I just feel like you will probably still get questions about, well, what's the check-in procedure?
Mm,
Like you were saying, you
yeah,
won't necessarily be avoiding guest questions if you move that or don't emphasize it as
got
much.
it.
So I tried to
Got it.
find other ways to emphasize the guidebook in the second draft, if that makes
So
sense.
shall we flip to
Um,
yours then?
yeah, that might be easier. But yeah,
Okay,
there's a lot of good stuff in there. I do want to emphasize that, like the clarity of it is good. So
cool. So
okay,
this is yours.
this is mine. So I made some changes to sort of emphasize some things. You'll see the larger subheadings there. Um, so people tend to skim a good bit. We hear that all the time. So accessing your rental, and then I went with something kind of cheeky because that's a question that could be your heading there. Just something to call attention to that second part. So still having the access instructions at the top. With one thing I also liked about the original email was that he or she, whoever wrote that letter, broke down the steps for the access. So you see the choose the key box, passcode is, rather than
Hmm.
putting that in sentence format. That kind of bullet style is really good for skimming. So kept that style. Another thing that I recommended, you see there where I have insert photo welcome book.
Hmm.
If perhaps, if possible, you could put a picture of your welcome book there, something, because I know Touch Days guides are very visually enticing. So have a picture of it and maybe make that clickable. So when people click on it, it just takes them right to the link as well.
Hmm.
Something for a bit more visual interest there. Um, and the subheading. And then I also added some, this is actually Tyan's idea, Touch Days community ambassador. She does this on her email, I believe, where she goes ahead and lists some of those frequently asked questions so people know when they dive into the book, these are the kind of answers they're going to get. Which are, some of it's functional, some of it's more like, more of a fun over functional, like what's the best local restaurant? That's the fun part. But there's also functional information that they could use. So they're highlighting that as well.
So this is instead of saying, here's my guidebook link and putting a link. The point here is to give a reason to click. So it's not just, oh, that's a guidebook link, I can just ignore that. But oh no, it has the nearest grocery store. It tells me where the best restaurant is, or whatever. I think Tyan's philosophy here is put what you get asked most by a guest in these bullets. So if these are the 4 things you get asked most, put those there. And then someone has a reason to click it. I guess that's the intention behind it, would you say?
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Well, listen, I think we covered everything. So thank you, Jess, for that quick recap. Very helpful to see a before and an after. And what I might try and figure out is a way of putting these two for people to access when they see this video instead of just seeing the screen scrolling. So once again, thank you, Jess.
Thank you, Andy. Good luck.